In the shadow of the digital revolution, a drama unfolds, unnoticed by many. An epidemic of loneliness among the elderly. According to research by the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 people over 65 regularly experiences feelings of social isolation. For many, this is not just emotional discomfort, it is a medical problem. Lonely elderly people are 30% more likely to suffer from cardiovascular diseases, and their risk of developing dementia is 1.5 times higher. Social isolation kills as effectively as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The paradox of our time. We have created a world where one can instantly connect with a person on the other side of the planet. Yet millions of elderly people go weeks without hearing a human voice. Can modern technologies, which for many have become a symbol of generational disconnect, turn into a tool for salvation from loneliness? Is it possible that artificial intelligence can help solve a deeply human problem? In an era where technology permeates every aspect of our lives, digital solutions emerge that can bridge the chasm of loneliness. Social networks for the elderly are not just a fashionable trend, but a vital necessity. Platforms like Stitch and Silver Surfers create a safe space where people of a golden age find like-minded individuals with shared interests, from gardening to classical music. Unlike traditional social networks, the interface here is adapted to the perceptual characteristics of older users. Large fonts, clear navigation, and an absence of informational noise. Video communication has become a real breakthrough in the fight against isolation. In the Cherry Orchard nursing home in Sweden, weekly video calls with relatives reduced the level of depression among residents by 37%. And specialized applications like GrandPad simplify this process to a single button press. Platforms for intergenerational exchange occupy a special niche. In Singapore, the Wisdom of Ages project connects schoolchildren with pensioners for mutual learning. The youth help master gadgets, while the older generation shares life stories and skills. In Japan, the robot companion Paro, resembling a seal, has been helping elderly people with dementia for 10 years. They pet it, talk to it, and this reduces anxiety and improves sleep. Technological solutions are gradually overcoming cultural barriers. In India, where traditionally children care for the elderly, the Goodfellows app connects lonely pensioners with young volunteers who become their digital grandchildren. In the world of digital innovation, a new generation of companions has emerged. Artificial conversationalists, created specifically for the elderly. These technologies go beyond simple functional assistance and become an emotional support for those who particularly acutely feel loneliness. The robot LEQ, developed by Intuition Robotics, looks like a small desk lamp with a movable head, but its capabilities are astonishing. It doesn't just answer questions, it remembers user habits, proactively suggests activities, reminds about medication intake, and even jokes, adapting its humor to the owner's preferences. 82-year-old Eleanor from Boston admits, "LEQ knows that on Tuesdays I like to listen to jazz, and on weekends to call my grandchildren. Sometimes I forget that I'm talking to a machine." The Replica for Seniors application went even further. It creates a digital double that learns from the user, adopting their speech patterns and interests. Over time, the bot becomes an increasingly personalized conversationalist. Studies show that regular communication with such assistants reduces feelings of isolation by 30% and improves cognitive functions in the elderly by 25%. However, psychologists warn it is important to maintain balance. Artificial intelligence should complement, not replace, human interaction. When the Amazon Alexa bot with the Senior Services package speaks in a voice similar to that of a grandchild, it triggers a release of oxytocin, the attachment hormone. But the brain of an elderly person simultaneously activates the same areas as during real communication, creating an illusion of connection that can intensify disappointment when the artificiality of the relationship is realized. Behind every technology lie real human fates. 78-year-old Margaret from a small town in Wales hadn't left her home for 10 years due to joint problems. Her world had shrunk to 4 walls, and her only companion was the television. "I literally forgot what my voice sounded like," she recalls. Everything changed when a social worker gave her a tablet with a video call program installed. At first, Margaret was distrustful of the device. But her patient grandson conducted several remote lessons with her. Today, she has 15 pen pals from various countries, from Canada to New Zealand. They exchange recipes, discuss books, and even host virtual tea parties. "I feel like a part of the world again," Margaret smiles. At the Sakura nursing home in a Tokyo suburb, an unusual employee has been living for the 3rd year, the companion robot, Pepper. This humanoid assistant not only entertains residents with games and music, but also remembers their preferences, wishes them a happy birthday, and shows photos of their relatives. After the introduction of robots into the daily life of the nursing home, antidepressant use among residents decreased by 40%. The statistics are impressive. According to an Oxford University study, older adults who regularly use digital platforms for communication are 35% less likely to report feelings of loneliness and show 27% better cognitive function scores. Imagine an elderly person holding a smartphone for the first time. Tiny icons blur before their eyes, fingers miss the right buttons, and every new pop-up window causes anxiety and confusion. For the younger generation, digital technologies are intuitively understandable. But for older people, they often turn into impenetrable technical jungles. A Stanford University study showed that 80% of elderly users experience stress during their first contact with a new device, and every second person abandons attempts to master a gadget after several failures. The main problem is not in intellectual abilities, but in design, which is created by the young for the young. Small fonts, multitasking interfaces, a complex registration system. All this creates insurmountable barriers. Cognitive features of older age require a longer time to process visual information, while most applications are designed for quick reactions. Physiological changes, decreased movement accuracy, hand tremors, deteriorating vision, turn a simple button press into a real challenge. 73-year-old Irina from Novosibirsk spent 3 months trying to master video calls to communicate with her grandchildren. Every time I pressed the wrong button, the application gave an error in English. I felt absolutely helpless. According to the Institute of Digital Literacy, the greatest difficulties are caused by authentication processes, creating passwords, SMS confirmation, CAPTCHAs. Many services require linking bank cards, which causes justified fears in a generation that grew up with savings passbooks. And yet, these barriers are surmountable if developers start to consider the special needs of silver users. "I don't trust these machines," 72-year-old Anna Petrovna shakes her head when the social worker suggests she use a voice assistant. "They listen to everything, and then fraudsters find out my data." This fear is not just an old person's whim, but a manifestation of deep psychological barriers that have been forming in the minds of the older generation for decades. The roots of distrust in technology lie in the cultural context in which today's pensioners grew up. A world where machines were tools, not interlocutors. A study by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology revealed that 67% of people over 70 experience an irrational fear of artificial intelligence, considering it potentially dangerous. Meanwhile, the younger generation shows only a 20% anxiety level about this. Cultural differences are particularly striking in different countries. In Japan, where robots are historically perceived positively, older people are 40% more willing to interact with AI companions than their European peers. For many pensioners, technology is associated with coldness and inhumanity. "How can a piece of iron understand what I feel?" is a typical question asked by older people. Psychologists call this the alienation effect, the inability to perceive artificial intelligence as an empathetic interlocutor. Interestingly, this barrier is successfully overcome when technologies take on an anthropomorphic form or use a voice resembling loved ones. Another obstacle is the fear of losing control and privacy. The generation that grew up without the internet more acutely feels the invasion of personal space. "How does this thing know my name?" A question that causes panic in an older person and a smile in their grandchildren. Technology for elder care open up an entire universe of possibilities that once seemed like science fiction. Digital assistants are becoming loyal companions, available at any time of day when human support is unavailable. This is especially valuable during nighttime hours, a period of greatest vulnerability for lonely elderly people, when anxieties and fears intensify in the silence of an empty apartment. A virtual interlocutor never gets tired, never gets irritated, and patiently repeats information as many times as necessary. The economic aspect is also impressive. Maintaining a digital assistant costs tens of times less than the services of a caregiver or social worker. At the same time, the quality of support is constantly growing thanks to self-learning algorithms. Elderly people gain the opportunity to expand their social circle far beyond their district or city. 80-year-old Maria from a Siberian village now discusses gardening weekly with like-minded people from Argentina and Australia. Personalization becomes a key advantage. Technologies adapt to the individual needs of each user. If a person is interested in history, the system offers relevant content and introduces them to people with similar interests. The pace of learning also adapts. Some master technologies in a few days, others take months, and digital platforms take this difference into account, creating a comfortable environment for everyone. Technologies designed to solve the problem of loneliness carry not only light, but also shadow. Behind the brilliant facade of digital assistants lie dangers that enthusiastic developers rarely mention. The first and most alarming signal is the gradual replacement of human communication with artificial. Elderly people, accustomed to daily conversations with a bot, begin to refuse real social contacts. "Why should I go to a club if my LEQ will always keep the conversation going and never judge?" muses 70-year-old Vladimir from Yekaterinburg, not noticing how his circle of live communication is narrowing. Psychologists call this phenomenon the digital cocoon effect, when the illusion of connection with the world through technology actually intensifies isolation. No less dangerous are cyber threats, specifically targeting elderly users. Scammers create fake companion apps that gradually extract personal data and gain access to the bank accounts of trusting pensioners. Last year alone, tens of thousands of elderly people worldwide fell victim to such schemes. Ethical dilemmas surrounding the use of artificial intelligence in elderly care also raise concerns. Does a robot companion have the right to inform relatives about medication non-adherence? Should it record and transmit data about a person's mental state to third parties? The line between care and surveillance is becoming increasingly blurred. Algorithms capable of manipulating a user's emotional state are of particular concern. Some systems deliberately foster dependence, making elderly people feel that their lives would lose meaning without a digital assistant. Technologies created to combat loneliness risk becoming its new, more sophisticated form. On the horizon of technological care for the elderly, innovations are emerging that until recently seemed like plots from science fiction novels. Virtual reality is becoming a bridge to a world inaccessible to people with limited mobility. The Second Wind project allows older adults to immerse themselves in three-dimensional spaces where they can stroll through Parisian parks, explore coral reefs, or visit museums, all without leaving home. Research shows that such virtual walks reduce depression levels by 32% and improve cognitive functions thanks to a new stream of impressions. Augmented reality goes even further. AR glasses project holograms of loved ones directly into an elderly person's room, creating a sense of physical presence. Quote shares an 80-year-old participant in the pilot project. A revolutionary direction is empathetic artificial intelligence, capable not just of recognizing human emotions, but also of empathizing with them. The latest algorithms analyze micro-expressions, vocal timbre, and even breathing rhythm to accurately determine an elderly person's emotional state and adjust its behavior accordingly. The concept of a smart home is transforming into a caring home, a space where every element is configured to maintain not only physical, but also emotional well-being. Walls that change color depending on the occupant's mood, lighting systems that mimic natural rhythms to improve sleep, virtual windows with views of favorite places. All this creates an environment that actively combats feelings of isolation. Neurointerfaces open up possibilities for people with limited communication abilities. Technology that reads brain impulses allows paralyzed elderly individuals to control devices and communicate with the outside world through thought. This is not just a technological breakthrough. It is the return of a voice to those who were condemned to silence. Global experience in combating loneliness among the elderly through technology demonstrates an astonishing diversity of approaches, reflecting the cultural characteristics of different countries. Japan, facing the fastest aging population in the world, has created a true army of robotic assistants. The robot Pepper in Tokyo nursing homes not only entertains residents, but also monitors their emotional state. And the therapeutic robot seal, Paro, covered in antibacterial fur, calms dementia patients better than many medications. Japanese society, traditionally accepting robots as part of its culture, demonstrates an 80% trust level in mechanical assistance among the elderly. Scandinavian countries have chosen a different path: systemic digital inclusion. In Denmark, the Silver Surfer government program provides every citizen over 70 with a free tablet and digital literacy courses. The Swedish model focuses on communities. Virtual entrust clubs unite elderly people from different cities. The results are impressive. The level of digital literacy among Scandinavian pensioners is twice the European average. The American approach is characterized by an entrepreneurial spirit. Hundreds of age-tech startups attract billions in investments. The GrandPad app, created by a grandson for his grandmother, has turned into a company valued at $100 million. Chinese experience demonstrates the power of family values even in digital format. The WeChat family app creates a virtual space for several generations of one family, where grandchildren can leave a note on their grandmother's virtual refrigerator. Effective digital transformation of elder care requires concerted action at all levels of society. The state must act as the architect of these changes, creating a legislative framework and financial incentives. Finland's Quote program demonstrates an optimal model: tax benefits for companies developing technologies for the elderly and subsidies for low-income pensioners to purchase digital devices. The private sector is called upon to be the engine of innovation, but with an emphasis on ethics and accessibility. Business models must take into account the limited solvency of the target audience, possibly through state-supported subscriptions or integration into insurance programs. Non-profit organizations can take on the role of intermediaries, teaching digital literacy to the elderly. The education system requires radical changes. Gerontology must become a mandatory component of IT specialists' training, and medical universities must introduce courses in digital therapy. Healthcare faces the task of integrating telemedicine and remote monitoring into treatment standards. The transition to technologically oriented care must be gradual. First, basic communication tools, then intelligent assistance, and only after trust is established, advanced systems with elements of artificial intelligence. It is critically important to create a unified ecosystem where all devices and applications are compatible with each other, relieving elderly people of the need to master many disparate interfaces. Let's imagine the world 2 decades from now. An elderly woman wakes up in her apartment, but she is no longer alone. A voice assistant with a custom-tuned timbre greets her, reminding her of the day's upcoming events. The walls change hue, mimicking the sunrise, and her favorite flowers bloom on a virtual window. Breakfast is already being prepared automatically, taking into account doctors' recommendations and personal preferences. In the living room, a hologram of her daughter, who lives in another city, activates. They converse as if they are in the same room. After the conversation, the woman puts on lightweight augmented reality glasses and embarks on a virtual stroll through the Louvre with other members of an art lovers club. Similarly, elderly people from all over the world. This is not a utopia, but a quite realistic scenario for the future, where technology becomes an invisible helper, organically woven into the daily lives of the older generation. Artificial intelligence will transform from an exotic novelty into a familiar element of everyday life, just like electricity or plumbing today. Emotional recognition systems will be so advanced that they will be able to anticipate nascent depression or anxiety before the person themselves realizes it. The smart home will become a sensitive companion, adapting lighting, temperature, and even scents to the occupant's emotional state. However, future technologies will not replace human presence. They will create new forms of intergenerational interaction. Virtual family gatherings will become the norm, and young people will be able to, quote, to their grandparents' homes using holographic projections. A world without lonely old age is not just a technological challenge, but a new social paradigm. Society will finally realize that caring for the elderly is an investment in each of our own futures. The balance between technology and humanity will be the main ethical compass in creating this new world, where old age will no longer be associated with isolation and oblivion.